Hi guys, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. And guys, I just want to say thank you. I so feel the love and support in just 2 days of me posting my videos. I've felt the love. Thank you so much for all the views, and thank you so much for everyone who started subscribing to my channel. I'm really happy that I'm gonna be a part of your BPO journey. So guys, it has been requested by a lot of you by sending me private messages that you definitely want to start a career in the BPO industry, but you're not just sure how you're going to kickstart your career with us. But guys, you don't have to worry because it's so easy and simple. First thing that you need to do is to condition your mind and understand that this is what you want. Okay, working in a BPO is not that easy. Working in a call center is going to demand a lot of your time, a lot of your effort, and dedication. So, if you really want to work in a call center, just have the right mindset and know that you really, really want to be a part of this industry. So, that leads us to our second content, and that is all about nailing your interview. So, what do you have to do to be hired as a call center agent? Well, it's pretty easy. You just have to make sure that you're going to ace your interview. And with that being said, I'm going to give you simple tips and tricks to survive, as they say, your interview. And it actually has a couple of phases, but I'm gonna stick to the most common. Like every call center has its own interview process, but we're gonna talk about something that's common across all BPOs. So it's going to be more useful and accessible for you guys depending on your location. So the interview process starts when you actually file your application, and at the moment, we know the pandemic has impacted everyone, and even call centers are heavily impacted. But we're very, very lucky because we are one of the most crucial industries, and our services are badly needed. So a lot of companies right now have openings posted on online platforms. You can actually search for companies near you and check if they have any application available through their Facebook pages, or you can try going to you know websites like jobstreet.com. You can go and create your own profile in LinkedIn. You can check Instagram. You can check online social networking sites, so you would know what your options are. Once you've decided on that company that you want to be a part of, just process your application, and most of the interviews nowadays are going to be done over the phone. So we have two phases. The first one is your has its own interview process, but we're going to talk about something that's common across all BPOs. So it's going to be more useful and accessible for you guys depending on your location. So the interview process starts when you actually file your application, and at the moment, we know the pandemic has impacted everyone, and even call centers are heavily impacted. But we're very, very lucky because we are one of the most crucial industries, and our services are badly needed. So a lot of companies right now have openings posted on online platforms. You can actually search for companies near you and check if they have any application available through their Facebook pages, or you can try going to you know websites like jobstreet.com. You can go and create your own profile in LinkedIn. You can check Instagram. You can check online social networking sites, so you would know what your options are. Once you've decided on that company that you want to be a part of, just process your application, and most of the interviews nowadays are going to be done over the phone. So we have two phases. The first one is your initial interview. So what are they doing when you complete your initial interview? Your interviewers are profiling you. Your interviewers are assessing your communication skills. Now, when I say communication skills, some of you might react, oh, I'm not ready for that. Guys, chill. One thing that I want to remind you, working in a call center does not require you to be very, very good in English. It's a plus. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's a plus. But for those of you who feel like you are beginners, remember, like what I said on our first episode, you will definitely have training, and will guide you throughout the process and make sure that you're going to be ready until the time that you take phone calls. Now, when I say communication skills, what you just want to do when you complete your initial interview is to make sure that you understand the question. That is number one. Understand the question. What is your what is your interviewer asking you? Some of the basic questions you will hear are, tell me something about yourself. Now, when you hear that question, this is the best time to sell yourself. Now, guys, be realistic. You know yourself better than anyone, right? And you know that whatever you give your interviewer, it's going to be your commitment. So when you sell yourself, be realistic with your traits, with the skills you're going to be giving them, and just be honest. So tell them that you're hardworking. Set an example. I'm hardworking. I can work under pressure. When I'm expected to do something, I don't just give 100%, but I make it a point that I give 110%. Something to that effect. And also, you have to tell them your ability to manage time. Time management is important. You can also add that. I'm a person who is able to multitask. I know how to manage my priorities. And if you have anything relevant to the company, I mean, if you have any skill or if you have any experience that's relevant to the company you're applying a position for, or if you know that, you're being interviewed for a specific program and you've done a little bit of your research, then try to relate something about yourself to that specific campaign. An example is we have a lot of tech companies as our customers in the BPO industry. And if you are a tech savvy person, then you can also share that. You can tell them that you're very creative in terms of managing your mobile devices. You know how to do basic computer troubleshooting, and you're familiar with computer parts, you're familiar with phones, gadgets, things like that will definitely help you. You're computer literate. You know how to use your mobile phone for internet access, for calling, for texting, etc. It may sound like it's very simple, but trust me, if you're being interviewed for a tech company, then trust me, it's definitely gonna help you out. Okay? And as you answer, guys, like what I said, during your initial interview, they're assessing your communication skills. Things that you need to avoid. Number one, you have to avoid giving one-word responses. Don't say yes, don't say no. If ever you're asked a question and you feel like the correct answer is either a yes or a no, then you have to explain why your answer is such. You don't need to use, what do you call those words? You don't need to use complicated words. You just need to use simple words, right? The most important thing here is that the interviewer knows that you understood the question and that you get your point across. Simple English works best. Working in a call center, you have to keep in mind it's not a contest of who has the best English, but it's a business that is going to rely on people who are able to understand the issue and get their points across. So it's a thing about being understandable. That's what you want to be. You want to be understandable. And as your initial interview is being completed, as you're being profiled, you have to be open as well. Now, if you know that you're good with tech, maybe the company you are applying a job for does not have any tech openings. So it's also good to add a little bit of, other skills that are going to be very helpful when you actually get interviewed for a customer service account, which is also one of the biggest segments of a BPO. Now, if you have previously worked any job that involves you talking to customers, whether it's you working in a restaurant, you working in a fast food chain, you working in a mall, you have customer interaction. So try to recall the things you did best as you perform that previous job, and trust me, you can actually use that to your advantage when you apply for a job in a call center. Let's say you've worked at a fast food chain, you've had a lot of interaction with customers, so you can share that to your interviewer. You can tell them that you've worked for, let's say, I've worked for ABC Fast Food, and as I was working at ABC Fast Food, I've realized the importance of valuing my customers. I always make it a point that I put my customer first. I make it a point that I listen to my customers, and I always strive to give them 100% customer satisfaction. Things to that effect, trust me, that will help your interviewer understand what your main skill sets are. Right? Now, if it's a financial account, usually it's a debit card campaign or a credit card campaign. So if you have a debit card, talk to your interviewer about your knowledge of debit cards, talk to your interviewer about your knowledge of credit cards. Again, this is just them, understanding that you're not just for customer service, you're not just for tech, but you're someone who's really flexible and that you have a lot of knowledge about the basics, right? And they would have an easier time to understand what program is going to fit you a lot better. So just let them know that you have a lot of experience in terms of the basics. Now, when I say experience, it's your understanding of how simple things work, and that is going to definitely help you with your initial interview. Don't be too conscious about your pronunciation, don't be too conscious about your grammar. Again, training is going to be provided and it will help you, sharpen your skills in terms of communication. But again, make it a point that you are going to be clear and direct to the point. And as you do your initial interview, I know that it's going to be nerve-wracking, guys. Trust me, it's going to make you feel so nervous that you feel like you're about to vomit. Trust me, that happens. And even up until now, I'm already a training manager, but when I get interviewed for, things that I want to do, I still get that feeling. So guys, it's absolutely normal. But channel that energy you feel into something that's positive, right? Use it to motivate yourself and turn it into a positive energy. Keep on smiling. Don't talk too much about you being nervous. Just accept the fact that you are nervous and think of happy thoughts. And again, your goal is to understand the interviewer and be understood, and always keep a smile. At the end of the day, if you clear your initial interview, you go to your next interview. And for a lot of companies, after you clear your initial interview, you go directly to your final interview. So, a lot of companies, when they endorse you for your final interview, chances are they're going to tell you the campaign that you are going to be endorsed to. So take this time to do a quick of Google research. It's not going to hurt if you do a little bit of, a research in advance, even before you go to your final interview. A lot of times there are going to be breaks in between. Let's say if you clear your initial interview, your recruitment specialist from the company you are applying a job for is going to tell you have to wait for a few minutes or maybe an hour or so. And as you are waiting, take that time to relax, decompress. And if you have mobile data, which I know a lot of us will have mobile data on our phones, take that time to go to Google, right? Search for the name of the campaign. It's going to help you be recognized by your final interviewer. As a final interviewer, I feel so impressed if I am talking to someone who is going to let me understand that they've done their homework, they know something about the program. We're not asking you to be experts, but if you let us hear your research, even if it's not 100% accurate, the fact that you did that small research about our campaign, it means that you value us, and definitely that's an A+ on your interview. Now, when you do your final interview, your final interviewer is going to gauge a lot of things. Well, for me personally, when I do my final interview, number one, I'm going to ask you questions related to the program I am supporting. I'm going to ask you questions that will help me understand if you're going to be a perfect fit for my program. So that is something that you really have to prepare for. And again, that's why it's important to really research your future campaign, right? Now, other than you being measured with that specific side of your interview, your final interviewer is going to check on your commitment, right? This is where you get asked questions like, are you willing to render overtime? Are you willing to work during weekends and holidays? And when you answer these questions, please understand that we're not just asking it because it's a part of our checklist. We're asking it because it's going to happen. You're going to be working on weekends, you're going to be rendering a lot of overtime, and that when you give us a yes, you have to hold yourself accountable for that, okay? And don't just give us a yes. Explain to us why it's a yes, okay? We're not asking you to lie, but be realistic. And if you see that it's going to be, somewhat a bit of a problem, you want the job, so just say yes and sort it out after your interview. Next, you're going to be gauged based on your goals with a company, right? The moment I hire you, the moment I say yes, you clear this interview, technically, I'm already spending for you. What does that mean? You're an investment, right? So when I invest on you, I need to know that my investment is going to go back to me. ROI, return of investment. So I'm going to ask you questions like your short-term goals. I'm going to ask you questions like your long-term goals. So for your short-term goals, then give us answers that are going to make sense, right? So some of the answers that I really liked when I was doing my final interviews in the past, I liked it when people said that their short-term goal is to clear the interview. After clearing the interview, their next goal is to make sure that they're going to be number one while in training, and after training they want to be endorsed to the production floor, and in 6 months time they want to be a regular employee. That is a really good short-term goal. Okay, now if you get asked what are your long-term goals, now this is where you think about the future, right? So when you get asked what are your long-term goals, ask yourself, what do you want to be? Okay, do you want to be an expert of the industry? So if that's a yes, then you can say that my long-term goal is to be an expert customer service agent. I want to explore my ability to be able to provide excellent customer service while working as an agent, and maybe eventually I'd look into the opportunity of getting promoted. And that's one thing that we always want to hear from our applicants. When we hear you say you want to be promoted, that's such a plus for us, because it means that you are eyeing something bigger than just to get a job, right? So remember, there are three basic departments, and you have to understand how each department works, because it's going to help you set your long-term goals. You have the training department. So if you like to talk, if you like to teach, if you like to share like me, then definitely you're a perfect fit for the training department. If you are analytical, you like processes, you like to understand the what's and the whys. Do you if you do like understanding data, if you like analyzing performance, then you could be a quality specialist. If you like to listen to calls, if you like to provide feedback, then a quality specialist is going to be a good fit for you. Now, if you want to motivate people, if you want to lead a group, right, then that means you're going to be a perfect fit for service delivery or operations. It depends on the company that you are applying a job for, but most likely your long-term goal is to be a team manager. And that's going to be a really, really good answer. We really like it if you know what you want to be in the near future. So, bonus, right? I'm gonna give you a bonus for this second content, which is all about your application. You will be asked tricky questions, okay? Now, it's how I say it. You're gonna be asked Miss Universe questions, and you have to be very creative when you answer this. These questions. Some interviewers are going to be, very creative when they ask you some of these questions, and you just have to, answer it and pretend like you're actually, in a pageant. And guys, trust me, you can do this. Okay? It's not just for the girls, but even for the guys, you can do this. So some interviewers will ask you, why is this sky's color blue? How will you describe to a blind person the color green? So this is where you use your creativity and imagination. So for the first question, why is the color of the sky blue? A very common answer we get, I remember when I was still in elementary, the answer that was given to us, it's because it's a reflection of the ocean. The ocean's color is blue, and it is a reflection of the color of the ocean. That's why the sky is blue. Now, if your interviewer kind of connects that to a next tricky question, like how are you going to describe the color of the sky with a blind man? And then this is where you apply your creativity. Understand that the sense of sight is no longer available. So think of how a blind person is able to paint the color blue in their mind. So maybe you can use the sense of smell. If you smell something that calms you down, pretty much that's the color blue. If you want to use the sense of touch, if you touch something that's really smooth, then maybe you can compare that to the color blue. Okay, so those are some of the tricky questions. Some interviewers are going to ask you to give us a summary or a synopsis of the last movie or the last book you've watched, guys, never ever lie, right? Sometimes you tell us when we ask you, tell me something about yourself. You tell us that you like reading books, that you like watching movies, and then when we ask what was the last movie you've watched or what was the last book you've read, you can't give us anything. So, guys, please be careful. Be honest with your hobbies. Okay. Now, if ever you get asked of the last book you've read, give us a short summary. Okay. The book that I've read, it's a story about a girl who had high hopes and high dreams, and she wanted to become the president of the United States. Something to that effect. Now, that's just, something out of the blue that was an impromptu example. Or maybe the last movie I've watched is when was the last movie I've watched? I think I've watched Charlie's Angels. So Charlie's Angels, it's a story about three girls who work together as spies, and in the story, they work together to defeat a traitor who actually betrayed the company who manages them as assassins, and they prevented a very evil plan for that um, antagonist to perform assassination with the use of super high-tech technology. So we don't want you to go into details. You don't need to name the characters, but if you can, that would be great. That would be amazing. If you remember their names, if you remember certain scenes or certain, um, you know, yeah, scenes in the movie that really had an impact with you, then you can share that. But for me, going to the safe side, just give us an overview of what happened with the movie. What is it all about? And I'm gonna share to you guys the most dreaded question, the question that failed me on my first interview. You heard me right. I failed my first call center interview because of this question. So, guys, it happens. I learned from my mistake, and I hope that you guys are going to learn from this too. And it's all about the question, why should I hire you? No, sorry, it's the opposite. Why should I not hire you? So, I remember when I got that question, it took me a while to answer, and I told my interviewer, you shouldn't hire me because I'm short-tempered. I have a tendency to scream at people when I get pissed off. And I was so honest, right? And it's good that you are honest, but not every interviewer is going to see the value of your honesty. So I'm not saying that you have to lie, but you have to go back to your interviewer and tell them that there's really no reason for them not to hire you. At the end of the day, it's just a reverse question of us asking you to sell yourself, right? So if there's really no reason for us to hire you, then tell us straight up. Interviewer, there's no reason for you not to hire me. You have all the right reasons to hire me, and maybe if you don't hire me today, that's going to be a regret on your end. Something to that effect. But you have to say it sweet and nice, okay? You don't want to sound like, you're too how would I say that? You don't want to sound like, you're up in a pedestal, right? You want to be humble, okay? And you want to be perceived by your interviewer as someone who's open to feedback and who's someone who's really calm. Okay? So guys, that whoops. See, I told you I have pronunciation issues. Okay, so that wraps up our second vlog. That wraps up our second content, and it's all about your interview. So again, remember, initial interview, and you have your final interview. For the initial interview, just understand that you're being profiled. Sell your knowledge, right? So again, I talked about technical knowledge, I talked about customer service knowledge, I talked about financial knowledge. So please make sure that you are going to tell that to your interviewer. A lot of call centers would usually have one of the one or two or all three as a part of their campaigns. And for your final interview, again, research. It's not gonna hurt if you try to Google just even the name of the company, or just to understand what the company is actually providing as their product or service. It's going to help your interviewer see the good in you. And always remember, as you do your interview, chill, relax, smile. Always remember, listen to the question and answer straight to the point. Avoid I kind of lost my thought process there. So just avoid giving us short answers. When I say short answers, try to avoid giving us just words or phrases. We want to hear complete sentences. So guys, pretty much that's it. If you've ever experienced a crazy interview in the past and you want to share it to us, to the other subscribers we have on our vlog, please go ahead and leave that on a comment section below. If you want us to expound on a specific topic all about interviews, please do let me know, leave a comment. And if you have a specific topic you want to discuss on our next vlog, please let me know. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and of course share our page. Again, this is your call center friend. This is Axel. Thank you so much, guys.